Yeah, let's talk about the economics of it again. It's an important thing. That first, the survey week for the employment report is, I guess, starts the 10th. And so that if the government workers are furloughed, then when they're surveyed, then they'll say they're not working. And so that when we see the January jobs number, it could be a big negative. But it would be because of the furloughed workers who ultimately are going to get paid. And so what we'll say if we were to see that negative number is, well, sure, it was negative this, but if you adjust for the furlough, it looks like another 200 plus 200 month or something like that. For GDP, then what happens is that nominal GDP is unaffected, assuming that they go back to work in the first quarter, because the government will pay people their back pay, but the BEA will reduce real GDP government output by the number of days that or the share of days that they didn't work. And so if government workers worked half as much, then nominal GDP would be the same, but real GDP would be half as much. And that's for a quarter of it. And so our estimate is that GDP in the first quarter could go down by about a tenth if this were to resolve the next few weeks.
And how long is that? What's factored into that? What's priced in? Is that a 2-week shutdown, a 2-month shutdown? How do you get to a tenth?
Yeah, that's a tenth gets you if it resolves by next week.
Okay, and if it goes into February, how much more will we see in GDP drop?
Yeah, I would guess it's going to be something like a rule of thumb would be every 2 weeks is a tenth, something like that. But again, I think that is kind of an accounting thing because that's true for real GDP, but nominal GDP is unaffected as long as people ultimately get paid. And so if you think about the effect of, everybody on my staff, or a huge chunk of them are furloughed, that everybody had taken their vacation because no one was going to work, or almost no one was going to work between Christmas and New Year's. And then what happened was that they didn't have to take their vacation days because they were furloughed. And then if they get their back pay, then they, in some sense, are better off because they had a week that they didn't work, and that week they got paid for, and they got to keep their vacation days. And that's the kind of thing around the holidays that could happen. And so when you're thinking about how it affects the economic numbers, you have to factor that in.
At what point do you personally become concerned about how the partial shutdown is affecting the economy? And what do you say to analysts who say that the uncertainty about how long the shutdown will last, that it is fueling some of the volatility?
I think when we've seen the markets move a heck of a lot on shutdown news in the past, it's because the shutdown has been coincident with the debt limit negotiations, and the debt limit negotiation sort of really raises the stakes. But right now it's just a shutdown for a quarter of government, and they're leaving the national parks mostly open so that the private sector repercussions seem like they're going to be pretty small. And so I don't really expect to see big economic effects of this, again, assuming that it ends relatively quickly. And so for sure in the past this has happened, 22 times, did I get the number right? And there have been a few where you've seen wild gyrations on the news, but we're not seeing that, and I think it's in part because the two issues are separate right now.